This is the all-new Kia PV5 Passenger. A VW ID Buzz rival for pretty much half the price. And yes, you did hear me correctly. This thing starts at just under £33,000. If VW made family vans cool again, Kia thinks it can make them futuristic and more fiscally friendly. And I'm here in Korea for a first drive to find out if the PV5 gives me a buzz. Sorry. Please subscribe. Say hello to the Kia PV5, a car that I suspect is going to be welcomed by loads of families and quite a few Uber drivers. In fact, Uber actually had a hand in developing this car. More on that later. Now, there is a challenge testing a car like this that is made for loads of luggage and loads of people when there's only me and Manos. Time to clone myself.
Nope.
You're so rude. If Manos thinks 4 Ginnies are a bit much, just wait till the 7-seat version joins the lineup. But at the moment, there's just the 5-seat passenger along with the cargo version, which Nicola has been to drive, and you can find a video of that here on the YouTube channel. So what do you think then? It's almost as if they planned it the same size pretty much as the ID Buzz, but it's a very different vibe, isn't it? They haven't gone retro with this. It's got the sort of boxy MPV looks, but a more of a futuristic edge. I really like actually the way they've tied in this gloss black trim with all the windows, giving it that two-tone effect. Wonder where we've seen that before. You come around here to the front, you've got a really nice smooth front end. This is really clever. Look at this. Ta-da! The charging port. I think that's really smart. I like it there in the centre. And while I'm down here, I like the way the headlights are set down reasonably low so you don't get any glare. And of course, it wouldn't be a Kia, would it, without these daytime running lights, very distinctive. Now, I've been looking at the comments that you left on the first look video I had of the PV5, and there were a lot of positive comments in there. Now I've seen it, actually it does look just like the version that I saw in studio. I do think it looks great. The way I would sum the PV5 Passenger up is, if the VW ID Buzz is that coveted, quite expensive designer handbag, this is a really nicely designed rucksack. They both do the same job. They do it equally as well. This one just does it for a lot less money. Now, before I get started on the interior, let's talk about pricing and spec, which I believe is Kia's killer blow with this vehicle. Right, the PV5 Passenger has got 2 trim grades in the UK, keeping it nice and simple. You've got Essential and Plus. You get that with 2 different batteries, 46 kilowatt hour and 67 kilowatt hour. Now, those are both usable capacities, by the way, which is what we'll usually quote here at Electrifying. The entry-level trim, that is only available on the standard range, which is £32,995. Pretty much bang on what I predicted when I saw it earlier this year. The long range Essential, well, that goes up to just under £36,000, and the long range Plus is £38,295. As you can see, those prices massively undercut the VW ID Buzz, which is at the moment in the UK just over £59,000. So when it comes to the actual spec, predictably this is the top of the range, but even the entry-level Essential has got all the essentials. Please feel free to pause the video at any time. As for this version, well, you basically swap the steel wheels for fancier alloys, of which there's a few different choices, and you get loads of niceties, electrically folding door mirrors, heated front seat, steering wheel, heated outer rear seats, there's powered height adjustments for the seats, wireless charging, and you get vehicle to load with an adapter, which is so handy in a vehicle like this and something that the Buzz doesn't offer. I actually think this car is really well spec'd for the money, particularly when you remember that this actually is a van-based passenger vehicle. Right, that's all the spec and money out of the way. Let's have a look at what you get in here. So 2 screens, as you can see, 12.3-inch screen there with all your infotainment and mapping and stuff. Got a smaller screen here with all the driver information, which is very handy. It's all very familiar from other Kia models. Really good blend, as always, of physical buttons. Got lots of those. Some really nice touches, like the buttons there, which will open and close the rear doors, which is really handy to have when you're loading people in and out, doing airport drop-offs, picking kids up from places. I remember when I first saw this car, I was blown away by how much storage there is in it, and I still am blown away by it. I mean, just look at the stuff. I don't think I could find enough stuff to keep in here. You've got massive storage compartment there, 2 cup holders there, there's a sort of storage bin that comes out from there, wireless charging. There's 2, if I get over there, underfloor compartments. You've got a sort of secondary storage box there, a glove box, and then just here to the side of the screen there's an area where you can get different accessories. And of course you've got absolutely stacks of space in the doors as well. So let's take a look at this main screen, and it has got a new Android based operating system. If memory serves me correctly, it is the first Kia to get that, and they've really thought about integrating this with fleets. So they've teamed up with one of the big fleet management companies, and that means that managers will be remotely be able to check where their drivers are, how much charge they've got in their vehicle, how efficiently it's being driven, which all sounds absolutely brilliant if you are a fleet manager. Also slightly stalkerish if you ask me, but I'm sure it's really useful. As for the quality of the materials, it's absolutely fine. It feels functional and practical rather than plush. If it's plush that you're after, you'll go for a VW ID Buzz and you will pay for it. Let's do a quick rundown on the key range figures. The 46 kilowatt-hour PV5 manages 183 miles. The longer range version stretches to 256. VW does go bigger. A single 79 kilowatt-hour pack, good for 293 miles. Now, early signs are that the PV5 is proving to be pretty efficient. Driving it on a mix of road conditions in Korea, we managed to exceed the official range figure. As always though, we'll drive it for further and report back when we get it in the UK. Now, a heat pump is a £780 option on the PV5, a couple of £100 less than VW will charge. If you're doing long winter trips, it's worth ticking. Otherwise, just stick the heated seats on and pre-condition the car with the app. Now, at this point in the video, I would really like to give you a deep dive and in-depth review of how the PV5 Passenger drives. That might be a little tricky. Over the last couple of hours, I've really only been able to drive it in quite heavy traffic, driving out of Seoul and on the motorway. It has finally eased up a little bit now, and I've got to the heady speeds of 60 miles an hour, but I am still on a motorway, so I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, let's start with talking about power. So the smaller batteried version tops out at 120 horsepower. This larger battery version gets 160 horsepower. Top speed on both is 84 miles an hour. Look, it's not a huge amount of power, even for a vehicle like this. But actually, I do think it's more than enough for what is ultimately going to be used as a ride-sharing vehicle or a family vehicle. I haven't done a huge amount of overtaking, but on the odd occasions that I've had to pull out of traffic, you do find that the power is there immediately. So it's, quite easy to overtake when you need to. Steering is very nice and light and responsive. Again, what you want for a vehicle as big as this. And actually, the thing that strikes me about it is that it's not as car-like to drive as the ID Buzz. I do think that is great to drive. Considering that this is based on a van, which it most definitely is, it's not as van-like to drive as I was expecting. It does feel more refined than I was expecting. One thing I'm really happy to see are the regen pedals. Yay! So you've got them here on the steering wheel, as you get in all Kias. You've got your different levels. If I pop it up straight there up to level 3, that puts it into full regen. You get one pedal driving. I just love this system. and it's really nice to see it in this. And that again is something that you don't find on the VW ID Buzz. It does have a B mode, but it's just not as powerful or as responsive as the flappy paddle system you get here on the PV5. Slight outfit change in this video now because it's now tomorrow, and I managed to get hold of a PV5 just for half an hour or so, just to drive it on some normal roads that aren't motorway and heavy traffic, which is great. Although yesterday I did make really good use of Kia's automatic cruise control. It's a really good system actually. It was very useful on the motorway, and that's available right across the range in entry level and the premium model as well. Okay, but on the open road, which I'm really glad I've been able to do, again, it's just a really nice thing to drive. The visibility is great. You know, you've got these really deep windows, big mirrors, but just all round with the slightly elevated driving position, of course, that you get. Brilliant visibility. I think the ride is okay. I mean, there's loads of speed bumps out here, as there seem to be all over Korea, particularly as well in the centre of Seoul. That was a speed bump. And, you know, you do pick up some of the, you know, the bigger ruts in the road. But you've got to remember that this has ultimately been built on the underpinnings that are being used for a van, but it's certainly nothing to worry about. Steering is nice and precise, the steering is light. One thing I've noticed is that it's got a really good turning circle, nice tight turning circle. That's something that the VW ID Buzz has, and I think it's actually very slightly tighter on this. So it does mean that this will be a great thing for driving around town. And can we give a shout out for the interior colour? This chocolate brown. I mean, this is exactly the same interior in terms of spec as the car I was in yesterday, and I just think that the brown somehow elevates it, makes it feel a bit more premium. The really bad news is we're not getting this in the UK. What? What are you thinking, Kia? It's so nice. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Where do you stand on brown interiors? Has Kia made a mistake not including this on the UK spec? I think so. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bring that brown. Bring the brown. That's a phrase nobody ever thought they'd be chanting.
We know you're not all looking for a new EV, and that's why we've built our own used EV marketplace at electrifying.com, packed with great deals and details like battery warranties so you can buy with confidence. All you have to do is scan the QR code on the screen to browse while you keep watching.
Of course, what really matters with a vehicle like this, the back seats. To be more precise, how happy the passengers are in the back seats. So let's get in and try. Oh, and by the way, those Uber drivers that I mentioned earlier, so Kia has worked with Uber to develop various things on this vehicle. One of them is a really low entry point, so you don't have to step up to get into it. As you can see, 5-seat configuration on this. There will be a 7-seat version with an extra row coming in 2026, which I'm sure will be welcomed by loads of you. You've got a bench seat layout, decent sized seats. Even somebody in the middle row will have you know, enough space and plenty of leg room. The outside seats have both got Isofix child seat points and are both heated in this top of the range version. No Isofix child seat point for the passenger seat, sadly, which is quite a good thing. I think they're quite handy. So again, charging points on the side, door pockets, got a little kind of footrest there, which is nice. Ignore this plastic film, it's pre-production, and of course it'll have mats and things in when we get the production version. Now this is one of those accessories that I mentioned in the front, so it's cup holders, I think, and look, there's like a little clip in there that goes into the mounting point, and then there you have cup holders, and you can choose different kind of things like phone holders. Not really sure about what's in the range yet, but I think it's quite a cool idea. One thing to show you, this is good. Ta-da! Close the door, close the door, close the door. And it's closed. Side opening windows, which you don't get on the ID Buzz. Oh, and another clever thing that this does, I drove off before and had the door open and it automatically closed it for me. Isn't that smart? Right, bye.
the all-important boot space, and of course, where is it? There it is. Because this is the top of the range, you get an electronic tailgate. And you know what? I absolutely love a massive tailgate. They are so handy for having picnics under, which to a lot of you will sound very weird, but if you live in the UK, you will exactly get what I mean. It's massive, look at it, it's huge. So in terms of actual space, you get just over 1,300 litres. You add an extra 1,000 litres if you put the seats down, which is more than you'll get on the VW ID Buzz. And it's a really good usable space, isn't it? You can imagine this being incredibly handy for professional drivers who do loads of airport runs. Got a really big wide opening, you've got a low load lip. There's little storage compartments on either side, and there are also little hidden underfloor compartments. Handy for your dirty wellies and your charging cables.
When it comes to charging, you get up to 150 kilowatt DC. 10 to 80% takes around half an hour. AC charging at the moment is limited to 11 kilowatts, but 22 kilowatt will be arriving next year.
And you know, it's always worth pointing out Kia's 7-year, 100,000 mile warranty, which is by far the strongest package around. VW, for example, only offers you 3 years or 60,000 miles of cover. And that level of reassurance is going to appeal really strongly to loads of business users who want that long-term peace of mind. When I take all of that on board, and after having driven this, I'm really impressed by the PV5. I would go so far as to say that I think this is going to prove to be the most important EV that Kia has launched since it launched its very first electric car, the good old Seoul. Sure, it might not be as fashion forward as something like the VW ID Buzz, but it delivers something that so many buyers have been waiting for ages, a practical, more affordable multi-purpose vehicle. And after my time in Korea, I can confirm it gives me a buzz.